I took the day off from work to prepare the house for the holidays. Our daughter, Casey, would be coming home from college tomorrow. Casey is a senior, and my wife and I eagerly anticipate this holiday homecoming each year, as we haven't seen her since visiting her school in October. Diane, my wife, has been working a lot of overtime in recent months. The company she works for is considering purchasing one of their competitors, and Diane, as the project manager, is in charge of the due diligence. Her report to the board will help determine the purchase price. This is a significant responsibility that requires long hours and several trips to the targeted company's headquarters in Phoenix. It's been a challenging 4 months for both Diane and me. I miss my wife. We usually close Casey's bedroom door after she leaves in the fall, as there's no real reason to use the room. Today, I decided to dust and vacuum the room before making her bed. I lifted the duvet cover to keep it from getting caught in the vacuum, and that's when I saw it. Leaning forward, I silently prayed that it was just a burst party balloon. However, as I got closer, I realized that this was not the case. My next thought was disappointment that Casey was close to someone in our house. She didn't have a steady boyfriend. Was this one of those friendship with benefits situations that young people talk about these days? With my thumb and forefinger, I carefully picked up the protective device from the floor and examined it. It can't be that this condom was 4 months old. I'm not an expert in such things, but I don't think it was used more than a week or 2 ago. I felt dizzy, and I think I screamed loudly, "What the hell is this? What the shit? What the shit?" I had to sit on the bed for a minute. This condom could only mean one thing, but the idea that Diana could cheat on me was incredible. We were married for 22 years, and she never once gave me a reason to doubt her loyalty. Of course, at 43, she's a beauty, and men still flirt with her. The only wrinkles on her face are from laughing. She worries that they age her. I told her that they only accentuate her natural beauty. She smiled and kissed me when I said that. Her body is as toned as it was when we got married. Before this damn project, Diana spent 3 days a week in the gym. Last spring, we took a 2-week vacation and went to the Bahamas. That evening, we made love like newlyweds. We didn't even have time to have dinner. So, why am I sitting on our daughter's bed holding a damn used condom? I shook off the confusion and walked into the kitchen to get a plastic bag. The condom went into the bag into an envelope, and then I buried it at the bottom of the freezer in the garage. It was the only thing I could think to do. Save the evidence, just in case. Damn, I didn't even want to consider the implications of this. Divorce? Could I forgive Diane? What if she doesn't want forgiveness? What if she's in love with the guy? I was completely out of my depth here. This came out of nowhere. Like a robot on autopilot, I went upstairs and finished getting Casey's bedroom ready. After making the bed, I was no closer to figuring out what to do next. I called my brother and asked if he had time to meet me for lunch. Dave works in town. He sounded happy to hear from me and eager to get out of his office for a lunch break when I said it was on me. Dave and I sat in a booth. I leaned in and spoke quietly. "Dave, this stays between us. Got it?" "Sure, Al. What's up?" I told Dave what I'd discovered, and he sat there, stunned. "Al, I can't believe it. Not Diane. She loves you, man." That's what I thought, but how else can I explain what I found? It's just the 2 of us in the house. The only guests we've had this fall were the Johnsons, and they stayed in the guest room. I doubt they'd sneak into Casey's room for a quickie. "What are you going to do?" "I think I'll confront Diane when she gets home tonight. I can't pretend nothing happened." "No, don't do that. Confronting her without evidence is the worst thing you could do." "Why not?" "Let me explain. 2 months ago, I came home early from work. When I walked in, I swear I heard a door close at the back of the house. At first I thought it was Janet leaving through the back, so I headed to the kitchen, but then I heard her call me from upstairs. I went up, and there was Janet in her robe. I asked her what was going on, if I caught her messing around. I was furious. Janet lost her temper. She yelled at me for a few minutes, asking how I could accuse her, the mother of our children, of such a thing. She berated me for even thinking it. She gave me the cold shoulder for 3 weeks. 3 weeks with no intimacy and barely any affection. The house felt incredibly cold until she finally forgave me. Naturally, I was still suspicious. I didn't let her know, but I kept my eyes wide open after that. I don't know if Janet realizes it, and I hope she doesn't. But for the past 2 months, I've been following a checklist. What checklist? Checking her closet, her phone, looking around the bedroom for signs of anything suspicious. I even came home unexpectedly for lunch a couple of times. I paid closer attention to Janet's appearance and noted any changes in her behavior or our sex life. Where did you get this checklist? I found it online. It's incredible what's out there. I just Googled cheating wife and all sorts of things came up, including this checklist. During our entire conversation, our waitress came and went, taking our order, bringing our lunch, and delivering the check. I noticed she was listening. Finally, when she brought the check, she leaned over and spoke. I caught my boyfriend by checking his phone. He and his mistress were constantly messaging. He tried to deny it, but it was too much. I dumped him. I left the restaurant without having any plan. Sitting in the living room, I listened to Rachmaninoff. The classics always calm me down and help me think. Was there any other evidence of adultery? Anything other than a single condom? Of course, Diana worked late, came home late, and even went to the office on Saturdays. There were business trips. What did Dave say? Have there been any changes in her behavior? And then it dawned on me. Last month, Diana spent an hour in the bathroom cleaning herself up. When she finished, she called me into the bedroom. When I entered, I found her in silk pajamas, which I had never seen before. Diana melted into my arms. Go take a shower. Hurry up. It cheered me up incredibly when I went into the bathroom. After taking a quick shower, I returned to the bedroom. 4 candles were lit, and Diana was lying on the bed. I took the towel off my belt and joined her on the bed. We made real love. We looked at each other and laughed. Almost simultaneously, we said, "That was wonderful," and laughed even louder. As soon as we came to our senses, we went to the bathroom and took a shower together, kissing all the time. A month had passed since the incident, and it wasn't until my conversation with my brother during lunch today that I considered the possibility that Diane might have shaved for someone other than me. It prompted me to conduct further investigation. Diane would be back home in a couple of hours, so there was no better time to start. First, I went through her closet, inspecting boxes and bags. Everything seemed normal except for a new bikini in a Nordstrom's bag, still with the tags on. Could this be something she wears for him when she's in Phoenix? I resolved to keep an eye out for it the next time she traveled. Then I checked her drawers. Again, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. No new lingerie or nightwear, no unfamiliar dresses or tops, and no hidden stash of condoms. By the time I finished my search, it was already time to prepare dinner. Opting for a salad, I opened a bottle of Burgundy Pinot Noir and settled in the kitchen, awaiting Diane's return. When she entered the room 15 minutes later, I couldn't believe she was the woman I suspected of cheating on me. She almost dropped her briefcase on the floor, wrapped her arms around me, and gave me a big kiss. Then I noticed the taste of wine on her lips. I'm so happy to be home. 2 weeks with my family. I submitted my report this afternoon. It's all done. I hope you don't mind. I took my team across the street to the Met and bought a round. I had to thank them all for their hard work. I had 1 glass of wine and came straight home, she said, kissing me again. Oh, honey, I missed you so much these past few months. I hugged her tightly and said, I missed you too. Does this mean you have the next 2 weeks free? No work? I hope so, but I wouldn't be surprised if a question or two comes up and I have to take a call. Hopefully I won't have to go in. I promise to keep it to a minimum. I'm looking forward to 2 weeks with you and Casey. Has she called? I spoke to her this morning. Her flight lands at 11 and we'll pick her up. Does she have plans for tomorrow night? We discussed it. She'll join us for dinner. She's excited for a homemade meal. Afterward, she's meeting friends. She mentioned spending all day Sunday catching up. Diane and I had a delightful evening. We shared wine, finishing almost a second bottle, enjoyed salad, had 2 cognacs, and conversed throughout. I almost forgot my suspicions as we caught up. By 9:30, Diane was tipsy and yawning nonstop. Let's head to bed. I need some rest. As soon as Diane's head hit the pillow, she fell asleep. I stayed up reading. An hour later, she was in a deep slumber. I did something I'd never done before. I reached for her phone on the nightstand, attempting to unlock it. It was secured. It took me at least 2 hours to fall asleep after that. The waitress's words echoed in my mind. I caught my boyfriend by checking his phone. Diane was already awake, and the aroma of brewing coffee filled the kitchen. I joined her. Good morning, sleepyhead. How late were you up reading? Sorry I crashed on you. I didn't realize how tired I was. I'll make it up to you when Casey hangs out with her friends this evening. Promise. Once again, she's all affectionate. Could those be the signs of infidelity? But why is her phone locked? I decided to enact the plan that struck me at 1 in the morning. I grabbed Diane's phone from the kitchen counter. Diane, I need to reach out to Sandra's husband regarding that fly rod he's selling. Could I find her number in your contacts? Sandra, one of Diane's employees, had a husband who was passionate about fly fishing. Without waiting for Diane's response, I pressed the button indicating the phone was locked. Diane, the phone's locked. When did you start locking it? The password is the same as our garage door, 4002. I started locking it after I returned to my desk and caught Kevin snooping through the photos on my phone. I had left it on my desk during a meeting, and when I came back, he was going through my gallery. He was this close. Diane gestured with 2 fingers an inch apart, to being fired. As it stands, he's received a warning in his personnel file. 1 more violation and he's out. I didn't mention it earlier because it was a personnel matter, and we've always treated those as confidential. As Diane spoke, I dialed 4002 and the phone unlocked. I would have sacked him. You're too soft. Maybe I would have, but his wife just had a baby. I'm hoping he'll make the most of the second chance. Good luck with that. I made a note of Sandra's cell number, reminding myself to call later to follow up on my story about the fly rod. Oh well, another rod wouldn't hurt. I didn't put the phone down. So, what's so intriguing about the photos in your gallery that nearly got someone fired? Diane chuckled. I wish. No risque shots of my lover, no selfies of me, just some snaps from the flower show Janet and I attended last month, and some cute pics of Casey from the last semester. Your wife's pretty dull. No nude photos of your lover? I was taken aback by her comment. As I scrolled through her gallery, she was telling the truth. Only flowers and Casey were there. Who the hell is your lover? I hoped I didn't sound as angry as I felt. Diane laughed again. Why, you goofball. Who else could it be? This woman is making me lose my mind. We carried on discussing the dinner plans and other topics while I discreetly browsed her text messages. Diane wasn't paying attention, and I didn't find anything. We met Casey at the airport and enjoyed a fantastic family vacation for the following fortnight. We ventured into the mountains for skiing and spent 3 days snowshoe hiking in the Methau Valley, staying in a rented cabin by the Tumultuous River. Diane only took a few work calls and spent just 1 afternoon in the office. The mystery of the missing bikini was solved when I unwrapped my Christmas present from Diane, 2 tickets to the Bahamas for early March. And I have something special to wear while we're there, she said, embarrassing Casey as she displayed the tiny pieces of cloth. Mom, please TMI. I might have forgotten about the condom mystery if it weren't for my brother. Diane showered me with love and affection throughout those 2 weeks. We hosted a New Year's Eve party with many of our neighbors in attendance. My brother and his wife Janet were there. They lived on the next block with their 2 teenage twin boys. I like most of our neighbors. We are lucky to live in one of the rare neighborhoods in Seattle where people genuinely want to communicate with each other. That evening, about 12 couples gathered at our house. Among them was one neighbor I particularly disliked, Ed Parker. The only reason for his invitation was his wife, Sylvia, a really nice woman whom Diana insisted that we include in the guest list, despite Parker's obnoxious and flirtatious behavior. Parker was not one of those charming flirts, rather one of those whom one would like to keep a close eye on when surrounded by his wife, knowing that he would take advantage of any opportunity. As the party went on, Ed Parker got more and more drunk and started bragging loudly. He and Hank Jones went out on the patio to smoke. Smoking is strictly prohibited in our house. Diana can hardly stand tobacco even on our territory, where Ed began to brag to Hank about the various women with whom, according to him, he was successful in the neighborhood. Dave happened to go into the ladies' room at that time and, opening the window a crack, heard Ed's inappropriate remarks. Fortunately, the conversation didn't last long, as Hank got tired of Ed's bragging and quickly returned to the house. What further complicates the situation is that after losing his job at the bank, Ed took on the role of a stay-at-home husband, while Sylvia is now the breadwinner of the family. This situation provides Ed with enough time, opportunities, and inclination to engage in extramarital affairs with any of the neighbors' wives. The following day, Dave visited and shared what he had overheard. I was astounded when Dave asked, "Al, do you believe Ed Parker was the one with the condom?" "There's no way Diane would be with that scumbag. She knows I can't stand him. She thinks he's a jerk. And besides, I don't believe Diane would cheat on me." "But the condom, how do you explain that?" "I'm not sure. I just don't think it was Diane." "Well, if I were you, I'd want to be sure. I couldn't handle having a wife who cheats." "Watch your language, Dave. You're talking about my wife." "Sorry, but still." Dave didn't need to finish his sentence for me to understand his point. I pondered over the used condom chilling in the freezer. Could I gather DNA from Diane and Ed to compare with the DNA on the condom? It seemed like a long shot, and even if I could, would it stand as legitimate evidence in court if needed? Opting for a simpler approach, I strategized. With a 4-day trip planned for the following week, any potential mischief between them would likely occur then. Visiting the spy shop on Aurora, the salesman proved exceedingly helpful, perhaps due to my substantial purchase, totaling $1,100. I equipped myself with gear, a discreet motion-sensitive camera for Casey's room, cleverly concealed among her trinkets. Likewise for the guest room, now housing a new clock radio with a hidden camera. Our bedroom posed a challenge, as any new addition would be conspicuous. I settled for a covert voice-activated recorder tucked beneath my nightstand. The ensuing week was arduous, feeling like the longest stretch of my life. Each evening, conversations with Diane yielded nothing out of the ordinary. She played the role of a devoted partner flawlessly, with only "I love you" and "I miss you" escaping her lips. She took the day off on Friday to meet me at the airport. We bought our favorite Thai takeaways and enjoyed them in bed after a warm welcome at home. The whole weekend was devoted to making up for lost time in my absence. Unfortunately, Diane had to fly to Phoenix on Tuesday to officially sign the deal. "I'm sorry that it couldn't be arranged while you were away. The lawyers completed the paperwork only on Wednesday. By the time everything was finalized, it took the board several days to arrange the trip. I'm leaving Tuesday morning, and I'll be back Wednesday evening. It's inevitable. I just hope this is the last big project for you this year. You really tried your best. You did an amazing job, my love." I adored this woman so much. Throughout the weekend, I hoped and prayed that nothing would come of all these recordings. Diana left for her flight at 6 o'clock on Tuesday morning. I poured myself a cup of coffee and settled into the office to review the footage and voice recordings. I started with the most likely room, Casey's room. The image appeared instantly. The date and time were given on Wednesday, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. 2 people entered the room and immediately started kissing. I was horrified when I witnessed the potential destruction of at least one marriage, and maybe 2. I had no idea how Sylvia would react, when she saw a copy of this video that I intended to share with her. I skipped the scene, not wanting to go into the details, but wanting to see the result and occasionally being interested in their conversation. They made derogatory remarks about their unsuspecting spouses, so I rewound the movie, paused, watched, and listened, and then rewound it again. And they were close. "Oh, I wish we didn't have to use these condoms. Why aren't you taking birth control pills? Then we wouldn't need these condoms." "Because my husband had a vasectomy, and I don't want him to find out that I'm taking contraceptives. And I don't want to risk getting pregnant. I was incredibly excited when I was pregnant with twins. I waited until they were born to confirm that they were from him. If they were half Asian, it would cause chaos. That was the last time I made the mistake of getting involved with a person of another race." "How many men have you slept with while you were married? Not that it's any of your business, but you're the third one. I like men and intimacy. I appreciate that my husband takes care of me and the twins. We have a good life, but he only satisfies some of my needs. That's why we have to be careful. He almost caught us in October. This is the last time we have intimacy at my house, and since your wife goes back and forth all day, this is the safest option." After she finished speaking, Ed pushed her back onto the bed and continued the intimacy. I turned off the TV. I called Dave at work and asked him to come over after dinner. He came to me and it didn't go well. He cried for a while and we drank too much. I called Janet and told her that Dave would sleep it off at our house. I didn't tell her what caused the excessive alcohol consumption, and she didn't ask. I'll summarize it. On Wednesday, Dave and I took the day off. After he got over his hangover, we visited my lawyer's office and met with their family expert. Dave arranged for the divorce papers to be prepared. Some things went Dave's way. The twins, who were 14, decided to live with him. I was ready to let them hear, not see, their mother confessing her betrayal of their father. Thankfully, that wasn't necessary, as the boys chose to remain with their father. As Dave would have custody of the boys, the judge awarded him the house. He had to pay Janet maintenance for 2 years, but it was only $1,200 a month for that period. Sylvia used the video I provided to divorce Ed. She stayed in the house while he moved out, thankfully, as Dave was searching for him. I heard Janet tried to get Ed to move in with her, but he refused to have anything to do with a cheating woman. Diane and I made every effort to support Dave during the tumultuous events of that initial year. Diane, in particular, played a crucial role with her 2 godsons, who relied on her as a confidant. Even Casey pitched in with her cousins post-graduation in May, before she moved to Portland in September. During her last summer with us, she offered advice from a female perspective. But let me backtrack a bit. I should fill you in on what I discovered from the other video and the voice recorder. Essentially, nothing incriminating surfaced. Well, except for a few snippets of Diane's phone conversations, recorded inadvertently by the voice recorder in our bedroom while I was away on a business trip. Diane chatted with her mom, Casey, and her boss. I won't delve into the details, but it seems she holds me in high regard and has no doubts about my character. I never shared my suspicions with Diane. Some things are best left unsaid. However, she eventually learned about the camera in Casey's room. I managed to come up with an explanation, suggesting that I suspected Janet, who had a spare key to our house, might be using it to rendezvous with Ed. Diane seemed to buy my story until almost a month had passed since everything went haywire. We had just finished dinner, enjoyed our after-dinner drinks, and settled into the den to read. Suddenly, Diane looked up from her book and uttered, "You thought I was cheating on you." Oh, crap. I sat there frozen like a deer in headlights, while Diane remained in her chair, fixedly awaiting my response. "Come over here, darling, on the love seat. Allow me to share a story." I recounted the events, the suspicious condom, my conversation with Dave and the intrusive waitress, the locked phone, the groomed pubic area, the extra work and travel, all the factors tipping the scales. Yet throughout, I maintained my belief that she would never betray our marriage. Despite the oddities, she wasn't that kind of person. Diane regarded me, striving to comprehend. That's just who she is. She embraced me and uttered those reassuring words. Alec, darling, I could never betray us. I love you. And with that, it was settled.